Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's time to do exercises. These exercises are stated in Understanding and Using English Grammar, written by Betty Azar. You can download the book in the description below the video. Exercise 2, number 1, number 8, and number 11. At this time, I'm going to only discuss 3 numbers for exercise 2, page 376 up to 377, because those numbers are considered difficult numbers for my students. Now we come to number 1. Read carefully the direction. Discuss the meaning of these sentences. Which ones give the meaning of because? Which ones give the meaning of while? Do some of the sentences give the idea of both because and while? Number 1. Sitting on the airplane and watching the clouds pass beneath me, I let my thoughts wander to the new experiences that were in store for me during the next 2 years of living abroad. Sitting on the airplane and watching the clouds pass beneath me is a modifying adverbial phrase. To determine whether this modifying adverbial phrase uses because or while, have a look at the context. Sitting on the airplane and watching the clouds pass beneath me, I let my thoughts wander to the new experiences, blah 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 blah. So based on the context, sitting on the airplane and watching the clouds pass beneath me uses subordinate conjunction while, because the relationship between the phrase and the rest of the sentence is time relationship, not cause-effect relationship. So that's why number 1, while is the correct answer. So when sitting on the airplane and watching the clouds pass beneath me is changed into clause, it becomes while I was sitting on the airplane and watching the clouds pass beneath me, I let my thoughts wander to the new experiences that were in store for me during the next 2 years of living abroad. For number 1, the answer is while. Number 8, driving to my grandparents' house last night, we saw a young woman who was selling flowers. We stopped so that we could buy some for my grandmother. Have a look at the modifying adverbial phrase, driving to my grandparents' house last night. The rest of the sentence, we saw a young woman who was selling flowers. Try to determine the relationship between the phrase and the rest of the sentence by looking at the context. This sentence uses a subordinate conjunction while. While driving to my grandparents' house last night, we saw a young woman who was selling flowers. When the phrase while driving to my grandparents' house last night is changed into clause, it becomes while we were driving to my grandparents' house last night, we saw a young woman who was selling flowers. That is number 8. So the answer of number 8 is while. Again, have a look at the relationship between the phrase and the rest of the sentence. And we come to number 11. Realizing that I had made a dreadful mistake when I introduced him as George Johnson, I walked over to him and apologized. I know his name is John George. Realizing that I had made a dreadful mistake when I introduced him as George Johnson is a modifying adverbial phrase. Have a look at the relationship between this phrase and the rest of the sentence. I walked over to him and apologized. Because the relationship between the phrase and the rest of the sentence is cause and effect relationship, so it uses subordinate conjunction because. When it is changed into a clause, it becomes because I realized that I had made a dreadful mistake when I introduced him as George Johnson. I walked over to him and apologized. So the correct answer for number 11 is because. Next exercise, exercise 1, number 6, number 12, number 13, page 360 up to 361. Okay, number 6, 12, and 13. Now have a look at the direction first. Add periods, commas, and capitalization. Do not change, add, or omit any word. Underline each adverb clause. Note item 12 contains an adjective clause. Item 13 contains an adjective clause and a noun clause. Can you find these other dependent clauses? Okay, number one is done for you. I'm going to explain the example first. Sue was in other room when the phone rang. As soon as she heard it, she ran to the front room to answer it. Sue was in the other room when the phone rang. Full stop. When the phone rang is an adverb clause, so it must be underlined. As soon as she heard it, comma, she ran to the front room to answer it. As soon as she heard it is also an adverb clause, so it must be underlined. For the first sentence, there is no comma because adverb clause comes after the main clause. For the second sentence, you must use a comma between adverb clause and main clause because the adverb clause comes in the beginning. Now we come to number 6. Jack walked onto the plane, found his seat and stowed his bag in an overhead compartment. Jack walked onto the plane, found his seat and stowed his bag in an overhead compartment. Have a look at the sentence. Jack walked onto the plane, found his seat and stowed his bag in an overhead compartment. So in this case, you must only put a comma between the plane and found because walked, found and stowed are parallel structures. So this is simple sentence only. John walked onto the plane, comma, found his seat and stowed his bag in an overhead compartment. Now we come to number 12. This is the direction. I put the direction again in the next slide in case you forget the direction. Number 12. Have a look at the answer. When you speak to someone who is hard of hearing, comma, this is a subclause, an adverb clause exactly because it is an adverb clause, so it must be underlined. You do not have to shout. You do not have to shout is a main clause. It is important to face the person directly and speak clearly. And then before it, we have full stop because it moves to the next sentence. It is important to face the person directly and speak clearly, full stop. My elderly father, don't forget to have a capital letter for M because my is the first word. So M must be capital letter. My elderly father is hard of hearing, comma, but he can understand me if I face him, speak slowly and say each word. When you speak to someone who is hard of hearing is an adverb clause which consists of adjective clause who is hard of hearing. And my elderly father is hard of hearing, comma, but he can understand me if I face him, speak slowly and say each word. Have a look at the comma here because we have coordinating conjunction but, so we must put a comma before but. It is a compound complex because we can also find an adverb clause. If I face him, comma, speak slowly and say each word. If I face him, blah 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 is an adverb clause. That's why it must be underlined. And we move to number 13. The answer is Greg Adams has been blind since he was 2 years old. Since he was 2 years old is an adverb clause, so it must be underlined. Today, he is a key scientist in a computer company. Today is an adverb of time, so must be followed by a comma. He is able to design complex electronic equipment because he has a special computer that reads, writes, and speaks out loud. Because he has a special computer is an adverb clause that reads, writes and speaks out loud. That refers to computer, so it is an adjective clause. Reads, comma, writes and speaks out loud because reads, writes and speaks parallel structures, so we must use a comma between reads and writes. His blindness neither helps nor hinders him. No is a coordinating conjunction, so before no you must put a comma. It is irrelevant to how well he does his job. Okay, we move to the next exercise. Exercise 9, number 3, page 366. Some people prefer to live in the country while blah blah blah. Have a look at the direction first. Complete the sentences. Discuss other ways of expressing the same idea by moving the position of while or whereas. Number 3. Some people prefer to live in the country while blah blah blah. To answer this question, you must know the meaning of country. Country is districts and small settlements outside large town, cities, or the capital. So the opposite of country is a city. Some people prefer to live in the country while others prefer to live in the city. Okay, move to the next exercise. Exercise 11, number 1 and number 5, page 368. Okay, number 1 is an example, so we do not need to do it again. Direction. Use the given information to complete the sentences. Number 1 is done for you. I'm going to explain number 1 as an example. Usually people need to graduate from school to get a job, but it's different for Ed. Maybe Ed will graduate from school and maybe he won't. It doesn't matter because he has a good job waiting for him in his father's business. Point A, Ed will get a job whether or not he graduates. So whether he graduates or he doesn't graduate, Ed will get a job because he will get a job from his father. B, Ed will get a job even if blah blah blah. The answer is even if he doesn't graduate. So when you use whether or not and blah 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 must be filled by positive sentence. And even if must be filled with the opposite, the worst condition. So after whether or not, positive sentence, affirmative not negative, while after even if, it must be filled with a worse condition, mostly in the form of negative. He doesn't graduate. So we come to number 5. Next, family doesn't have enough money to send him to college. He would like to get a scholarship, but it doesn't matter because he has saved some money to go to school and has a part-time job. Max can go to school whether or not he gets a scholarship. Max can go to school even if he does not get a scholarship. Okay, those are the answer. After whether or not, positive sentence, affirmative. After even if, the worst condition. Mostly it is negative. Okay, we come to the next exercise. Exercise 13, number 3, page 369. Okay, have a look at direction. Show the relationship between the ideas in two sentences by using in case and or in the event that. Number 1 is done for you. I'm going to explain it first before answering the next number. Number 1, you probably won't need to get in touch with me, but maybe you will. If so, I'll give you my phone number. So the answer is, I'll give you my phone number in case you should need to get in touch with me, or in the event that you should need to get in touch with me. Should in this case is optional. You can use it or you can drop it. In case and in the event that are the same in meaning. Now we come to number 3. I do not think you need any more information, but maybe you do, and so you can call me. So the answer is, you can call me in case you should need more information, or you can call me in the event that you should need more information. The next, exercise 16, have a look at the direction. Use the given information to complete the sentences. Now we come to number 2 up to number 4. I'm going to explain number 1 first as the example. John must get a scholarship in order to go to school. That is the only condition under which he can go to school. If he doesn't get one, he cannot go to school. He can go to school only if he gets a scholarship. So this is a requirement, the one and only requirement. And we come to number 2. You have to have an invitation in order to go to the party. That is the only condition under which you will be admitted. If you do not have an invitation, you cannot go. So the answer is, you can go to the party only if you have an invitation. Number 3, you have to have a student visa in order to study here. Unless you have a student visa, you cannot go to school here. You can attend the school only if you have a student visa. Number 4, Jimmy's mother doesn't want him to chew gum, but sometimes he chews it anyway. Jimmy, blah blah, only if he's sure his mother won't find out. So the answer is, Jamie can chew gum only if he's sure his mother won't find out. Okay, we come to the next exercise. Exercise 1, page 375. Have a look at the direction first. Underline the subject of the adverb clause and the subject of the main clause. Change the adverb clauses to modifying adverbial phrases if possible. Number 1. While Joe was driving to school yesterday, he had an accident. While Joe was driving to school yesterday, he had an accident. Joe in this case is a subject for the adverb clause and he is the subject for the main clause. So those two words must be underlined. While driving school yesterday, Joe had an accident. So when you want to change it into modifying adverbial phrase, it becomes while driving to school yesterday, Joe had an accident. Because the subjects are the same, so you can change the adverb clause into modifying adverbial phrase by dropping the subject, dropping the to be, and use verb ing after the subordinate conjunction. While driving to school yesterday, Joe had an accident. Okay, now we come to number 14. The Wilsons have experienced many changes in their lifestyle since they adopted twins. So the answer will be the Wilsons have experienced many changes in their lifestyle since they adopted twins. The Wilsons is the subject for the main clause. Since they adopted twins, they is the subject for the adverb clause. When the adverb clause is changed into modifying adverbial phrase, becomes since adopting twins. Like the Wilsons have experienced many changes in their lifestyle since adopting twins. Because the subjects are the same, you can change the adverb clause into modifying adverbial phrase by dropping the subject and using verb ing. Adopted become adopting since adopting twins. Okay, next. Exercise 3, modifying adverbial phrases. Change the adverb clauses to modifying adverbial phrases. Number 1 is done for you. Because Sam didn't want to hurt her feelings, he didn't tell her the bad news. Not wanting to hurt her feeling, Sam didn't tell her the bad news. To change the adverb clause to modifying adverbial phrase, first you must make sure that the subjects of the adverb clause and the main clause are the same. Number 1, the subject is Sam and the second one is he. He refers to Sam. So those two are the same. In this case, the adverb clause can be changed into modifying adverbial phrases. How? By dropping the subordinate conjunction because. Why? Because the subordinate because cannot be used in a phrase. After because must be cause. So in this case, because must be dropped. When you want to change the adverb clause into modifying adverbial phrase, drop because. Drop Sam, drop the auxiliary, and use not before the verb ing. Not wanting to hurt her feelings. Sam didn't tell her the bad news. Okay, we come to number 3, number 4, and number 6. For number 3, because she was not paying attention to where she was going, Rosa stepped into a hole and sprained her ankle. Have a look at the subjects. She and Rosa. Those two are the same person. The adverb clause can be changed into modifying adverbial phrase. How? By dropping because, dropping the subject, dropping to be. If it is negative, use not and plus verb ing. Not paying attention to where she was going, Rosa stepped into a hole and sprained her ankle. Okay, number 4. Because I had forgotten to bring a pencil to the examination, I had to borrow one. Have a look at the subjects. Are the subjects the same? Yes, I in this case. Because the subjects are the same between the adverb clause and the main clause, the adverb clause can be changed into modifying adverbial phrase. How? By dropping because, by dropping I, and had forgotten is the verb, so this verb must be in the form of verb ing. How? Change had into having. Having forgotten to bring a pencil to the examination, I had to borrow one. Okay, we come to number 6. Because he has already flunked out of school once, Mike is determined to succeed this. Have a look at the subjects. Are the subjects the same? Yes, the subjects are the same. So the adverb clause can be changed into modifying adverbial phrase. Because he has already flunked out of the school once is an adverb clause. It can be changed into modifying adverbial phrase by dropping because, dropping subject he, and has flunked is the verb. The verb must be in the form of verb ing, has become having. Having already flunked out of school once, Mike is determined to succeed this time. We move to the next. Exercise 3. True in the present or future. Answer the questions. Pay special attention to the verb forms in the result clauses. Work in pairs, in groups, or as a class. Okay, number 5. Fish cannot live out of water. If you take a fish out of water, what will happen? If you take a fish out of water, what happens? If I take a fish out of water, it will die. Or if I take a fish out of water, it dies. Okay, move to the next. Exercise 4, number 8, number 10, and number 12. Have a look at the direction. Complete the sentences with the verbs in parentheses. Number 1 is done for you. If I have enough apples, I will bake an apple pie this afternoon. We come to number 8. Most people know that oil floats on water. If you pour oil on water, it will float, or it floats. Number 10. My evening newspaper have been late every day this week. If the paper does not arrive on time today, I'm going to cancel my subscription. So the answer is does not arrive. Number 12. How old blah blah to be if all diseases in the world blah blah completely eradicated? To do this item, have a look at the context. Determine whether the event is or the activity is untrue in the present, untrue in the past. If it is untrue in the present, you must use conditional if type 2. If subject plus verb 2, simple past, and then subject plus would plus verb 1. Because this activity or this event is untrue in the present, it must be how old would human beings live to be if all diseases in the world were completely eradicated. Okay, the next one, exercise 7, page 419. Complete the sentences with the verb in parentheses. Number 10 and number 12. Number 10. Shh, your father is taking a nap. You woke him up. Gee, I'm sorry, mom. If I blah blah he was sleeping, I blah blah so much noise when I came in. But how was I supposed to know? Have a look at the context of these sentences. The activity is untrue in the past. So if it is untrue in the past, you must use conditional if type 3. If I had realized he was sleeping, I would not have made so much noise when I came in. But how was I supposed to know? So the answers are if I had realized and I would not have made. Okay. Number 12. Ever since I broke my foot, I haven't been able to get down to the basement to wash my clothes. Why didn't you say something? I blah blah over and blah blah them for you if you blah blah me. Because this is in the past time, so it is untrue in the past. You must use conditional if type 3. Why didn't you say something? I would have come over and washed them for you if you had told me. So the answers are I would have come over and I would have washed, because it is a parallel structure. Just state washed. I would have come over and washed them for you if you had told me. So the answers are would have come and would have washed and had told if you had told me. Okay, the next exercise. Exercise 11, number 6 and number 8, page 421. Direction. Complete the sentences with the verbs in parentheses. Number 6. What blah blah to look at ourselves when we comb our hair if we blah blah mirrors? Because the sentence is in the form of present, so the conditional if must be untrue in the present. If it is untrue in the present, you must use conditional if type 2. Number 6. What would we use to look at ourselves when we comb our hair if we didn't have mirror? So the answers are would we use and didn't have. Number 8. According to one scientific story, an asteroid collided with the Earth millions of years ago, causing great changes in the Earth's climate. Some scientists believe that if this asteroid, blah blah, with the Earth, the dinosaurs, blah blah, extinct. Can you imagine what the world, blah blah, like today if dinosaurs, blah blah? Do you think it, blah blah, possible for dinosaur and human beings to coexist on the same planet? Have a look at the context of the sentence. According to one scientific story, an asteroid collided. Collided is in the form of simple past. So, untrue in the past. You must use conditional if type 3. Collided with the Earth millions of years ago, causing great changes in the Earth's climate. Some scientists believe that if this asteroid had not collided with the Earth, the dinosaurs would not have become extinct. Can you imagine what the world would be like today if dinosaurs still existed? Because we talk about today, so it is untrue in the present. You must use conditional if type 2. And then, do you think it would be possible for dinosaurs and human beings to coexist in the same planet? Because it is in the form of simple present, so untrue in the present, that's why you use would be. Conditional if type 2. So we come to exercise 13, number 2 up to number 4, page 422. Have a look at the direction. Complete each sentence with an appropriate auxiliary verb. Number 1, I do not have a pen, but if I did, I would lend it to you. Why did? Because I do not have a pen is in the present form. So it is untrue in the present. When it is untrue in the present, you must use conditional if type 2. So the structures will be if I did, simple past, and I would lend it to you. Number 2, he is busy right now, but if he weren't, he would help us. Remember, for he, she, it, for conditional if, there is no was. Was must be in the form of were for he, she, it. And have a look at the context. The activity happens in the present, so it must be untrue in the present. You must use conditional if type 2. That's why the answer is weren't. But if he weren't, he would help us. The conditional if is the opposite situation of the real condition. Number 3, I didn't vote in the last election, but if I had, I would have voted for Senator Anderson. Have a look at the context. I didn't vote in the last election. Didn't vote is in the form of simple past. So for conditional if, it must be untrue in the past. You must use conditional if type 3. And the structures must be if I and then had, past perfect. I would have voted for Senator Anderson. Number 4, I do not have enough money, but if I blah blah, I would buy that book. Because I do not have enough money is in the form of present. So when you want to make a conditional if, it must be in the form of conditional if type 2, untrue in the present. So the answer must be, but if I did, I would buy that book. Or if I had enough money, but if I did in this case, meaning that if I had enough money, I would buy that book. Okay. Then exercise 15, number 6 and number 7. Have a look at the direction first. It is snowing, so I won't go with you, but blah blah blah. But if it weren't snowing, I would go with you. Using progressive verb forms in conditional sentences. Okay, now we come to number 6. Grandpa is not wearing his hearing aid because it's broken. Have a look at the sentence. Determine which one is the cause, which one is the effect. Place the cause after if and place the effect in the main clause. But if Grandpa's hearing aid were not broken, he would be wearing it. Okay, then number 7. You were sleeping, so I didn't tell you the news as soon as I heard it. Have a look at the sentence. Determine which one is the cause, which one is the effect. Place the cause after if. Place the effect in the main clause. But if you had not been sleeping, I would have told you the news as soon as I heard it. Okay, the next exercise 16, change the statement into conditional sentences. Number 1 is done for you. I'm hungry now because I didn't eat dinner. But if I had eaten dinner, I wouldn't be hungry now. Have a look at the sentence. Yeah, I am hungry now is in the form of simple present. When you want to make this into conditional sentence, it is untrue in the present. So you must use conditional if type 2. Because I didn't eat dinner. I didn't eat dinner is in the form of simple past. When you want to make this sentence into conditional if, you must use type 3 because untrue in the past. Remember, for negative becomes positive, positive becomes negative. But if I had eaten dinner, I wouldn't be hungry now. I wouldn't be hungry now is in the form of conditional if type 2 because I am hungry now is the real condition. So I wouldn't be hungry now is untrue in the present. Now we come to number 7. I do not know anything about plumbing, so I didn't fix the leak in the sink myself. But blah blah blah. Have a look at the sentence first. Have a look at the real condition. If the real condition is in the form of simple present, so the conditional if is untrue in the present. Like I do not know anything about plumbing is in the form of simple present. So if you want to make a conditional sentence, you must use conditional sentence type 2, untrue in the present. I didn't fix the leak. This activity happened in the past. So when you want to make a conditional sentence, you must use conditional sentence type 3, untrue in the past. So the answer will be, but if I knew something about plumbing, I would have fixed the leak in the sink myself. Negative becomes positive, positive becomes negative. Remember that. That's it, my explanation about the exercises. Thank you for your nice attention. Please wait for the next video. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.